Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have a KAYN versus a Gragas. And there's some challenger players in this game, there's some grandmaster players in this game, and there's some master players in this game. So this is a high elo game. Mostly fair balanced, I think, actually, because the side with the challenger player doesn't have any GMs and the other side has a lot of GMs. So we are playing KAYN. We're going Raptors red into the Krugs. Runes on your screen. Obviously, we've got the Akshan, which is difficult, better for, you know, your First Strikes and Dark Harvest tech that we've always had. Rest in peace, Electrocute tech. That was an old school one. Season 8, we used to run that shit for early game because it was always the level 2 Scuttlecrab meta, so whatever reliant damage you could have, you wanted to have, and thus that was what we used. We have the Zed, the Xayah, the Nautilus, so in this particular game, some hybridization I think is going to be looking pretty good, and Black Cleaver is always going to give us some juice. So we go Red, Raptors, Krugs. Look for this gank on the top side. Yes, it's a Malphite, but we know the Akshan gonna have Prior. We know the Akshan's gonna level 2 all in. So we go Leashless. He knows we're gonna go Raptors, but he's dumb, so he trades anyway. We're gonna go in here and get the absolute beautiful orbs that we want. Boom! Hit that sucker right down. And then we have here the Gragas Prior thing from the bottom side to the top side. So unlike the... well, we get some... whoa, that's such a good emote. I love that one. I've never seen anyone with it. I will have it. Now, unlike the coaching video we just uploaded on the coaching channel, where the Diamond Belveth decided to do a similar strategy of three camp red side quadrant into the gank top side, Kindred started on the bottom side path to the top side. Instead of just saying, ha ha ha, I'ma yeet myself and go back to base, buy my items what I can and go to the bottom side, he decided to stay out. And against a high elo jungler, you will be punished for this, because the Kindred did the red side, ganked this, got the kill, fall back to the blue side. The Belveth decided instead of to base, followed along, got nothing, and kept walking. So it's always better if you're going to do the strategy when the enemy jungler starts on the bottom side, which you can track through your leash tracking, that you just go back to base. Buy your items, a couple long swords, dagger if you need to, control ward, and head to the bottom side, because if this is gankable, we can gank it quickly. So you have tempo for this gank, cut off the pathing for the Gragas, go back to base and gank this one, before, after, through your camps, pay attention to when is the best moment, and then the guy's going to go back to base after full clear and be like, oh shit, nothing's available. And that's, my friends, how you, well, and that, my friends, is how you get a lot of power. And now the Gragas knows he's done a full clear, he's done this crap, he's going to hang in that top bush in case KAYN shows up after resetting from the top side, which is of course exactly what's going to happen. We see here a lower HP Zed, you want to track the W timer, the Vlad W, just like we saw in the Belveth gameplay the other day. Knowing these huge cooldown moments, you know, when they got 20 seconds cooldowns and things like this, is absolutely huge to actually winning games. Look at this KAYN. This is what I'm talking about. You're watching this Gragas try and body him and cut him off from the Zed, and instead of just focusing, right, we look at this again, instead of focusing on the Zed and chasing him, which is what a lower elo player would do, we focus entirely on the person in front of us. Get the orbs, get the kill, right? So what happens is, obviously here, we know that this W is down, so we want to try to do something. Zed waits, flashes to make sure he gets that E plus the ignite through. Now he has W to get the final gap close kill, and will keep his spacing. And instead of the KAYN saying, I gotta get the Zed, he just sits and says, fine, I'll just kill the Gragas, because I've been back to base, I got 2 long swords, you guys got nothing, I can get this kill, save my W, get that squash. And he does so righteously. Now we can push this cannon minion out here. Always fun when that happens. And we know, because the Gragas started on the bottom side, ooh, are we being super cheeky here because the W was used? Careful there, because of the turret aggro, yeah. Because we know that the Gragas started here, here, did a full sequence plus 28 CS, we could go and steal this in theory. Or this, if it's a little bit later, but it wasn't, it hadn't spawned yet. And then maybe translate to a bottom lane gank. Especially if you want the blue orbs, nice and fast. But KAYN says no. That is really compromising himself here. I would be surprised if we didn't see Gragas try and do something. And that's why this ward here is so excellent. Because we know that Gragas is nothing topside. The KAYN's going to go and defend this. Once it's done here, we can shadow this, gank this, whatever. Once we're done with that, we can go back to base here. And now we'll be on this side, knowing that Gragas is going to try and look for something on the bottom side. Because when he died, he only had 2 camps here. And he has to try something to get back in this game, right? So the KAYN made excellent early gank read. Akshan, the typical laner things of not thinking about it, went back to base, used our item advantage to rotate over, right, to grab ourselves some extra kill and shove, took the next sequence of camps on our Raptors and Krugs. Why? Because they both have respawned, right? They're both tier 2 camps. Raptors were taken first, Krugs were taken second. So those will respawn at your level 4 markers versus having a nice and unfortunate level 1 Grump on the bottom side because we didn't take it. So we can hold off on these bottom side camps, get these second spawn camps, go do a whole bunch of stuff here, and accelerate forward the third spawn camps on the top side. Great for experience, slingshotting, getting level 6, yada yada yada, all the good stuff. Now we see this, and of course KAYN has his mighty E button to slide on through the wall, as Lane has complained about it, and we're going to burn the flies there. We're going to save our W as long as we can to hit that for the slow, but Xayah does a cheeky sidestep, and then Rakan goes in, and then we get the Q, and then Exhaust goes through, and then Samira says dashy goo, and we get some kills. So 3-0-0, serrated Dirk is huge. I love the Dirk spike. Love it. Always, on most champions that can snowball. Video on that coming soon on the main channel. Maybe tomorrow even, on the best snowballing champions for this season, and what we're looking for when I talk about those things, because some people seem to not always track that perfectly. So what we're going to do here now is go ahead, take that RNG Scuttle, see the Z is level 6, we'll get the taunt through by the Galio, he'll do as much damage as possible, and this is the type of stuff that you don't see the majority of players actually do. They'll do the gank here and then think, cool, Dragon. Well, if your bot lane wants to reset and you don't want to solo do it, and you see a kill here, let's just go get the kill here first. You don't need to fulfill the need and the destiny instilled to you by the bottom lane for doing dragons unnecessarily. When you're snowballing, in fact, it's not even a prior for you. Akshan rotates from the top lane. Yeah, you know. Now, we helped push as much as we could, but, you know, Rakan saves the day. We'll go Raptors here, into the red, into the Krugs. This guy's going back to base, no TP, so no worries. It should be 8 minutes by the time we're done. If Gragas shows on the bottom side, tries to do a dragon, you know, pass down again to do his red buff, we'll just snack away this Herald, which is exactly the angle we're looking for when you want to snowball. Yeah, that is what we're looking to do. Now, the Rakan goes back to lane, doesn't walk through the river. Good, good, good. Let's take a cheeky look to see where the Gragas is, shall we? Boom, he is on his red. We kind of expected that because he goes to the bottom side here, he shows up, he does these camps, you know, he doesn't show up anywhere else. He's probably going to keep sequencing up here. Nothing's available. Maybe there's a kill he can do, whatever. Goes back to base. He'll be bottom side again, yeah? So the KAYN will now scan with the new Oracle scanner. I don't like it. It's what we have. I don't like it, but it's what we have. Wait for our E, get the ult. Make sure we get that smite if we need to. Get the slow, get the auto attack. Auto, and save your ult. If you don't need to use your ult, don't use it. Now, here, once we see this guy, we could and probably should just go for the Herald. I know we got a lot in pocket, and obviously the Z is a bit of an issue, but if you look at the HP on the Z, if you look at the nature of top lane, what would you think would be the reason for that in this particular case? Because we saw the Gragas down here, so we know he's going to most likely go for this, but he also could just go counter jungling. So the KAYN's like, well, look, I could easily do the Herald here for free, and, you know, but I don't really want to let the Gragas get away with stuff, and I look at this bottom lane being shoved out. I kind of want to defend my blue side. But on the other hand, right, he's behind. Yeah, we don't want to give him anything for free. I still kind of like the idea of taking the Herald here, especially in the majority of elos where your bot lane are going to int no matter what. And we can still use that to counter jungle his blue side in return, right? Because they probably think, hey, the KAYN is most likely doing this stuff and probably going to fall back to this. So the Gragas can be free and, you know, do whatever he wants to do on the bottom side here. But we see the pet show up, actually. The Rakan gets face checked by himself and dies. We'll see the pet there. Hopefully it should pop up on the tab button briefly when KAYN showed. So we do deny the camps away. But I really like, in the majority of elos, and again, this is not a high elo thing because it's a different set of rules and mind games and you know what you're giving up when you make the decision. It's more about the fact that the enemy jungler, the Gragas, in your diamond game, platinum game, gold game, silver game, bronze game, whatever game, isn't going to be counter jungling your blue side and taking the dragon to the fullest of potentials. Like, they're not going to go straight up all in, right? As we already have the Duskblade, so we can use that. We do have the Galio ult as well to help us. He's going to rocket belt, Gargoyle Stoneplate himself out of the way. Go back in here, nice taunt free kill, always use that auto attack. We should have form pretty soon, if we didn't have it already. Nice, nice, nice. Could we have done this while taking his blue side and taking this? Yes. Did it look like Gragas was necessarily going to go for this? Yeah, no, but we did show, so would he have gone for it if we didn't show? Unknown. Too many hypotheticals. But those are the two ways to think about it. My way is, well, the guy's going to gank bottom lane, take the dragon. I don't think he's thinking about my blue side because he's platinum or he's diamond 4. So I can take all of this and this, reset, and go and do it, and get bottom lane and use the Herald here if I want to, for the snowball bot lane, or mid lane. But if you do all of this and do this and you see this fight, you would rotate the same. So the outcome there is the same, but the benefit is with our base of his decision that he has, the benefit is that he has the Duskblade, yeah? You follow? I know it gets a bit convoluted when you try and do the hypothetical stuff, but you don't want to results-base your decisions. You know, what's the best move in this bush right here when I've ganked top lane, Zed's no HP, Gragas is the bottom side? What's the best play? And those are the two decisions you have to make based upon your elo and playstyle, and obviously what champion you're playing. KAYN with this kind of snowball is super good. Now, I do think KAYN is one of the best snowball champions in the game, as we actually see. Like, this for me is a little bit of a waste of a Herald, because we were going to bust this turret anyway, right? Like, you have Malphite, you have you were going to get this turret anyway. I would have preferred to maximize plates somewhere else, you know, as your eyes get big for all that gold like Scrooge McDuck. So, hopefully that makes sense to you. Just the way I'm thinking out loud a little bit, because when you're snowballing, these decisions might not feel like a lot, but they're very important, right? Is if you make the wrong decision, the game is completely over, because now it looks like, oh, good, we got a free win. But how many games have you lost just like this? How many games on this channel have you seen what just get through? The Bel'Veth game, the Karthus game, you know, that we've had recently, specifically the Bel'Veth game. You know, you're winning until you're not, you know? Because you're behind, and poof, make the right plays and you win. Or was it the Bel'Veth game? No, it was another champion. One of the champions that I made a video on this week was talking about this, right? The comeback against this kind of game. So what could that jungler have done in that game to actually take the win and finish? We're going to see it with this Rost here. And yes, Slayer Rost. That's the hybridization I was getting at. I didn't want to give it away too much, although the thumbnail probably will. Either way, I like Duskblade Slayer Rost still. Yeah, they nerfed it. Still good though. Still fun. New season. Now, instead of doing the grump, we take some camps and say, let's push it forward. Hello, Nautilus in the bottom lane. Hello, Galio in the bottom lane. Gonna ult there onto the Xayah. Get the knock up onto the ult the Rakan, knock up the Xayah. There we go. Well, Rakan's probably upset about that. In the meantime, the Ross takes the Krugs, says, hello, can I assist you? Watches that and now says, right, let's hit the turret a little bit. We're going to move out of the way. Galio's going to once more. How close to death does Galio get perpetually? And then he's still fine. Oh, that's a good casket. That's a nice one. That is triple distilled, I'll tell you that much. And we're going to have W up again in a second. We're trying not to use our ult, but it looks like we're going to have to. We can finish off with a W if necessary. We will just drag and flag that Q back. Then we'll hit the W onto the Akshan. We'll get another Q here. And I do love myself, as I said, some lethality roster. The healing, the damage. It's so important for snowballing. And against an Akshan plus a Zed plus a Xayah, it's a lot of mobility and range for two of them. So you're not going to have the same gold drinker effectiveness, even if it's going to always be good by default. So I do like Eclipse, Duskblade, tech in these cases. Just, you know, there's a lot of ways to build them. Really. If you're building pure red, pure assassin, or hybrid like this, got to find something that really hits the way you play and when you like to spike. And against the right comps, because if this was a full-on melee team, you should probably still go gold drinker, even if that lethality spike is good, right? And I know Black Cleaver is fun. You understand what I'm saying here. So overall, what we like about what this Ross did to take his victory to the next level versus, you know, I'm going to check. Versus what the Nocturne did in his game. So he was losing, and the jungler against him threw their lead, whereas the Nocturne was composed and relaxed and knew what to do. I had to check because I couldn't remember what champion it was. It was Venom. So KAYN here, a little bit different. We skip out the Krugs again. I'm not a huge fan of leaving the Gromp and the Krugs up to this degree. The Krugs are fine on the red side because that top side Krug is removed to the mid lane here. Nice auto attack, get that Duskblade passive proc here and try and hit the W, miss a W somehow. You'd think you couldn't miss a W from that angle, but he did. We'll Q, we'll go back in the wall for the heal, respace ourselves, wait for the Q and the W, see what we can do here. The turret is super duper low. Bonk, stonk, nice, and we're not able to get anything. So, the ganking of the mid lane focus ganking. Early top lane gank, okay? Focus mid lane, fire tracking from the Grogs and get into those 2v2s nicely. Snowball top lane a little bit further and go bottom lane with that lead to make the dives and the cleanups and push the turret out. You don't have to gank top lane, sorry, you don't have to gank bottom lane in the first 2-3 minutes. Very much like the coaching video the other day as well, the Jarvan. You know, the Platinum Jarvan coaching on the coaching channel. He overganked top lane so much, didn't do what this KAYN did by translating into any other lane, and it was a poppy. Now, a puppy is going to be great and serviceable and useful, but a puppy's not going to 1v9 your game for you, right? And they're going to be 2 levels up, that's great, but it's a Kale on the enemy team. They're going to scale in some capacity. So, I like much more so, hey, let me cut off the Gragas' ganking goal, the dive, right, from the Akshan. Go back to base, quickly look and see if there's anything bottom lane. If Gragas shows here, we'll just rotate 2v2, make some good plays happen, take some of these camps, reset, go back to the bottom lane, shove him out, gank the, you know, if you can gank this here, which he did beautifully. You don't have to gank it first. You can gank it third, but do it within the flow and don't compromise the rest of your lanes for any lane, right? You don't over-gank a lane to the point where that's the only thing that exists and everything else is doomed. Now, obviously, again, I'm not a fan of leaving the Krugs, but in this case, we see another fight. So what you're learning here is, oof, double W, double V technically, shows up, rotating, and I think this is the biggest spice for the snowball that people don't really put on their pancakes. It's when you have this kind of lead, right, as we should be able to clean this up. I have a point to make, thank you. You don't want to go Krugs, Raptors, watch the fight, be like, guys, why are we fighting? I just want to do the Herald, and your team throw. Whereas if you showed up like this guy did, you win. And now you can actually push another wave and another turret. So here, we did the Wolves and we rotated for the dive. In that case, I probably would have blue Gromped if that was the intent as I was watching this. Because if this wasn't a move we could make, we could always loop back up. However, we've done Wolves rotated, done Raptors rotated a few times now. And it's okay because he's rotating to players for the right reason. He's made the right assessment. I can rotate easily, get forces the flash. You know, you're doing your Raptors and you think, maybe I could do the Krugs. And then your team fights, you're like, I better rotate because I can do things about that. Now we're getting caught out a little bit. We'll Q into the W, into the auto attack, and to get that kill, we get the Duskblade proc once more. Again, another one. We do miss that one. We have the damage from the Rakan. We have the movement speed with our E to get that gap close. Q, another auto attack. Another auto attack. Should we use a W? Now we can just Q just in case. This is it, man. This is it. Mechanics, itemization, decision making, all on point. 17:02 in 17 minutes. It's a kill a minute as a Kayn. So when people tell me, hey, look, which champions do you think snowball the best? Definitely Kayn's. However, I would not put him in the top 10 at the moment because there's a lot of shit that you can use that can deal with him, right? That can deal with him and shouldn't allow him to really get this far ahead in the first place. But obviously, if you're a good Kayn and a good jungler, you will be able to. Now, we could say as you're leaving base in these scenarios, you should go for the Krugs into the Raptors as you look to rotate. Doesn't really change much, but that's probably where I would say it's a better decision. Not in high elo. With high elo, it's very important to be proximal to your team and get there quickly because one wrong position is a dead team and you can throw very easily from that. Here now, we let them do this because we have no Samira. So if they want to do this, go ahead. They have no Akshan. We can fall back to the Herald. We're going to need that for a nice closeout push. I love the second Herald for a closeout push. But if you're in a below Mercer tier game and you're leaving the base here as a Kayn, you know, like just say before this fight here, you go for the Krugs so we can go for the Raptors. Can we rotate to the fight, or should I go for Wolves and Grump? Can I have a look? Like, you want to keep your econ up and only really move when your team is truly coalesced and grouped up for that fight. Because, like here, you don't want to rotate to this. You know, like, you could if you want a 1v9. Why not? He's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to do this for the 1v9. This is what carrying is, by the way. This is it. People are like, oh, but he's so fed. Yeah, that's the point. So, again, could we just do Grump and Wolves? I think in a game where you are not this hyper giga fed, right? Where are the announcements? Okay, here we go. Now you can watch it again. So when you're in a game when you're a little less fed, right? And your team, it's a little bit of a closer game. That situation, there's not where you want to run in 1v5. Yeah, we're doing it because we know we can. Okay, that's the most important thing. It's Kayn here, and we do throw it away. We do give the shot on 1,000 gold. In a closer game, that's horrible. So what would have been better to do here is let your team die. They got the 2 inhibs, or got the 1 inhib. Take all these camps. Take these camps. Reset. Whole team respawns. Now, do we make a Baron push or do we make a Dragon push? Based upon the game state, up to you. But you don't want to go in 1v5 and die getting 0 kills. You can run in and get 4 and do a quadra. You're probably quite fed, and you should. And that's the mechanical part of the game, right? That's it. However, us being dead, as you can see, you'll see the impact here. You'll see the impact. You know what's happening in your Platinum Diamond game right now. This is exactly the same thing that's happening in your game, except your bot lane is straight up dying, right? Your whole team are going to TP and commit to this, and because you're dead, they're straight up going to die. Fortunately, it's a high elo game, so they're going to translate it. That's why I'm giving you this context. And even then, they're still going to die. Look, you're seeing it. Malphite's on the top side, fortunately. But your death here forces them to push without you because the map stayed so pushed in. You're seeing the snowball effect. But from KAYN's point of view, again, at this stage, he's got something personal against the Krugs and the Gromp, but it doesn't matter. We're getting so much minion farm with Flame Horizon and the Kruggers. All the camps are coming from his jungle, from the Heralds, from the Dragons, from the Waves. There's no real stress to get those edge camps. And the reason why we're not wasting time for it is we're just going to take whatever camps we can, rotate to the thing we want to rotate to, and now we can go to his jungle here. We can push this. Why is he pinging for help? Who's going to help us? We're just going to do the dragon. Yes, see? Now we go. We did our death. It's a little sad, but we did our death. Catch this wave here. Don't do the camps first. Shove it up, shove it up, shove it up. We also have the Herald as well. Everyone's rotating over. We'll activate that sucker right here. Rakan will not spawn with us. This is why I like that second Herald. We're super fed, so we just watch the Zed. We're staring at the map, watching the death timers. Don't get caught out and killed, all right? Galio's going to rotate in here. Rakan goes in. Nice double stonks. Good job the Rakan. Good job the KAYN. Good job the Galio. There you go. That's how you close. Now, if the rest of your team here are not Galio, not Rakan, and no one's with you, and they're all farming shit up, don't overcommit. Yeah, fall back to red side, join them, and then end. But hopefully you can see here, 24 kills in 22 minutes. KAYN, Slayer Rost is really, really good at snowballing and closing games. And hopefully a lot of the context both ways, right? If you're high elo, what can you get away with? If you're not high elo, what do you have to focus on a little bit? And hopefully that helps you out. So thank you very much for watching. Virkayu.gg for your jungle courses, and of course courses through memberships as you wish. And the bootcamp will be linked below. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next one.